This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Our goal with our videos is to empower you to be able to do the repairs on your own and save a whole lot of money and also get that great feeling of having fixed it by yourself. Today we have a Bosch dishwasher that isn't cleaning well. It's not melting the soap and the dishes are coming out with spots on them and food debris. So it's just not doing a good job cleaning. We're going to go over a real easy way to put in a new fill valve. When the dishwasher doesn't get enough water, it will not pump water to the upper tray and it won't heat up the water and it won't wash very well. So it's pretty easy to do. We've got the water turned off underneath the sink. We've got it unplugged. I'm going to open the door a little bit so it's easier to get to this fill valve. I removed the little kick panel that's in front of this area by removing 2 screws and pulling the kick panel off. I've loosened up this little hose and I used a pair of pliers to loosen it, and I'm just taking it off by hand. So I've got the water connection off. I'm going to pull this little foam sound insulator out of here. It just comes right out. It's just in there by friction, so you just pull it out. It's going to give you some more access, and again, opening the door makes it a little bit easier to get to. I'm lifting up this hose out of its bracket to give me a little bit more room to lift the fill valve out. There we go.
If this video is helping you, please consider pressing down in the lower right hand corner of your screen the subscribe button, and that really helps our channel. Thanks.
So now we're using a Torx 15 bit to unloosen 2 Torx 15 screws that are holding the fill valve to the frame. And we'll just spin those out, easy to do. And then you can lift up, here's what that little screw looks like. Now you can lift up on the fill valve assembly by about 1.5 inches and pull it towards you. Again, opening the door makes it a little bit easier to get it out. And there's 2 things connected to it, a little modular wire connector and also a hose. So we're just going to pull that wire connector off. Easy to do, just pops right out. We're going to use a pair of pliers to undo this hose clamp. We're going to squeeze in and push it back. And this one, it came off really easily. Usually it's really difficult to do this. You have to wrestle with it for a couple minutes to get it to move. Now I'm using a standard head screwdriver to put in at the end of the hose to kind of pry it away from the fill valve. These hoses are usually on there pretty tight, and you want to kind of break the friction before you attempt to remove the hose. So I'm just prying it on maybe 3 or 4 different sides, putting the screwdriver in there and just prying it back to break that friction. Then it's going to be easier to pull the hose away. So now I'm going to grab that hose with my right hand, and then I'm going to twist and pull with my left. Try not to pull that hose towards you, just kind of keep the hose where it is, but pull the fill valve towards you as you twist. And then it's going to come loose. A little water is going to come out. So it's nice to have a towel underneath. There we go. Now we have to remove the brass elbow from the old fill valve to put on the new one. Here's the left hand has the old one, new one is in my right hand. To do that, I grab the frame of it with a pair of vice grips and I use a crescent wrench to spin off the old one. Then I have to use some thread tape to wrap around the threads of the brass elbow, and then I'm going to tighten it on there really tight. So you can get some thread tape from the hardware store. It's just, they call it Teflon thread tape. That makes it watertight. The other part of the fitting on the brass elbow, you don't need that thread tape, the one my finger's touching, just the one that goes into the fill valve. The other one is a compression fitting, it doesn't need it. So now we're just going to kind of reverse order. We're going to grab that electrical connector. Oh, I'm sorry, we're going to put on the hose first here by pressing it in and twisting until it's fully seated, like it can't go any further towards you. Then we'll use the pliers to squeeze in on the hose clamp. We'll put the hose clamp back into position. So when these fill valves stop working, they just don't let in enough water, or sometimes they stay in the open position and they let in too much water. But they're pretty cheap. You can get them at Amazon for $20, $30. So now we got the power connector, and we're going to grab it and just push it in. Again, it's just a friction fitting. It goes in really easily. It can only go one way, so if it doesn't go in easily, you can just twist it until it goes in. There we go. Make sure it's fully seated. I'm just going to put the fill valve back in and then bring it down. It has little slots that it fits into, and then we just add those screws back in. So this whole procedure probably will take you about 20 minutes. The only difficulty is just getting the fill valve. I have a link in the description below, so you can order it from Amazon, get it pretty fast. I noticed that this brass elbow is pointing the wrong direction, so I'm going to grab it with my pair of vice grips, and I'm going to twist it to my right, so it's going clockwise, because I want it to point over a little bit further to the right. I'm going to keep twisting it. Just spin it around to give me a little more leverage. There we go. And that white thread tape will give us a really nice watertight connection. Again, this one though, the hose going on, does not need that thread tape. It has a little rubber piece in it. It's called a compression fitting. So if you get it on there tight, it'll be definitely watertight. So I'm just using my fingers first, and then you can use pliers or crescent wrench or open end wrench to get it tight. Then you're pretty much done. You just have to get the sound dampening material pushed back in, which is easy, and put the little kick plate back on in front with the two screws. Turn on the water, turn on the power, and your dishwasher is going to run really good again. It's going to get the right amount of water, and it's going to heat up the water. So we're just tightening up that compression fitting. When you have the right amount of water, it reaches the upper tray. It has enough force, and with the proper amount of water, it activates the heater, so the water gets hot enough. One way you can tell if you're getting enough water is to run a normal cycle, and then at about 5 minutes, open the door and take a look at the level of the water in relation to the round plastic filter handle, and then it should be somewhere near the top of that handle would be great. If you don't even see any water, that means the valve is either a little bit clogged or it's become weak and it's not letting in enough water. We'll go ahead and give it a try now. We got it powered up, we got the water turned back on. Putting that sound insulation material back where it's supposed to go. Easy to do, you just kind of put it in position. So here's, after about 5 minutes, how the water level should look. If you pull back the bottom tray and you look in, you can see that the water is near the top of that round plastic filter handle, and that's really good. That's exactly where it should be when you get it brand new out of the factory. Another thing you could do is you could put a cup in the upper tray with the mouth of the cup pointing up and run it for about 5 minutes. And that cup should be full. If the cup is dry or there's no water in there, that means that not enough water is entering the machine and it can't have enough pressure to shoot water up to clean the upper tray. This one looks good, has plenty of water in there. So that did the trick, and pretty inexpensive, pretty easy to do, doesn't need many tools. Get your dishwasher running really good again. It's also good to check the little spray arms on the Bosch dishwasher to make sure that they're clear. There's nothing caught in the little holes, the jets where the water shoots out. These are easy to do. You can just pull the lower one straight off, and the upper one you can just spin it off. It has a little plastic nut. And then what I do is I look to see if there's anything caught in it. If there is, I'll try to grab it and pull it out, or maybe we'll push it back into the spray arm with, in this case, it's like a little dental tool, but any kind of a sharp thing. Could be a straightened paper clip would work. I'll go ahead and put the lower one back in, just push it in. And the upper one, taking a good look at it, making sure that all those holes are open. So if you have a good water level and all the holes are open and the water gets hot, these dishwashers clean really well. Common problem though is they don't get enough water because the fill valve is either really clogged with debris or more commonly it just wears out. Usually at about 4 or 5 years into the use of it. I think this one, the owner mentioned that it reached about 10 years before it failed, so that's pretty good. And most people feel that the Miele and the Bosch are probably the best dishwashers you can get because they're quiet, they last a long time, and they clean really well. So we'll go ahead and just screw that upper one back into position. And we are done.
So much for watching our video, and please subscribe to our channel when you get a chance, and also click the little bell notification button so we can send you weekly videos on all the different ways of fixing appliances around your home and saving you lots of money. So thanks again for watching, and please also press the like button for our video if this was helpful to you. Feel free to contact me at the email listed below, which is scottthefixitguy@yahoo.com, with any of your questions. And also, if you need to have a FaceTime meeting with me or a Zoom meeting, you can click